Translate objects are mostly done with shortcuts. Select an object with the left mouse button. Press V for translate, C for rotate, X for scaling. Or unhide the toolbar with a click on this button on the bottom of your screen. From here, you can select also the transform tools. Press V on your keyboard. This will activate the translate tool. A translation gizmo is visible for that object with 3 colored arrows. Red for X, green for Y, blue for Z. Left click on one of the arrows and hold down the left mouse button. You can translate the object for this axis. Have a look at your cursor. The cursor will show you which axis do you have selected. Z, X, Y. Press C on your keyboard to activate the rotation tool. Also with a click on one of the colored axes, you can rotate the object with hold down the left mouse button. Press X on your keyboard for scaling objects. If you press Escape on your keyboard, this will cancel the transform tool. You can also activate the Translate, Rotate or Scale tool with a click on the Transform panel on the right side of your screen. T for Translate, R for Rotate or S for Scale. With a click on T on the Transform panel, it activates all 3 transform axes for translating the object inside the viewport. If you want to manipulate only one axis, for example the X axis, click with the mouse button on the X value at the Transform panel. You can activate or deactivate more or less axes for manipulating if you press Ctrl or Shift on your keyboard and select the axis you don't want as active or inactive. You can activate all 3 axes with a click on this button. You can do that also directly in the viewport. Activate the Scale tool with X on your keyboard. Be sure you have activated all your axes in the Transform panel. Hover the mouse near the center of the Transform gizmo. Depending on which area of the gizmo your mouse cursor is, it will activate only 2 of 3 transform axes. Have a look at your mouse cursor. It changes from XYZ to only XZ, or XY, or YZ. From here you can transform your object on only 2 axes. If you hover the mouse to the center of all axes, you can manipulate the values on all 3 axes. Press C for activate the Rotate tool. The Rotate tool allows you to rotate on all 3 axes, but there is a 4th option. Hover the mouse on the small gray circle. This will rotate the object to the camera vector. In the Transform panel, you can type in exact values. There is no need to hover the mouse over the Transform gizmos. If you choose all axes or one axis, you can always transform the object whenever your mouse cursor is. If you select the Snap option for grid, your object is always snapping to the grid. You can set the grid size under the small eye icon on top of the viewport with the visibility option. Under the tab Visual Cues, You can set the grid size here and the underlying snapping size for the grid. Have a look at your transform gizmo. The center of the gizmo is always generated on the center of the object. You can see the center with a click on the center button on the select panel on the right and set the display to wireframe mode. Change the selection back to object, because we want to transform the object itself, not the center. If you select multiple objects with Shift or Control and you activate your rotation tool, this gizmo will only be visible on the first selected object, but it will transform all other unselected objects with the local center. Select the COG button in the transform panel. COG stands for Center of Geometry. The gizmo will now display it on the virtual center of all selected objects. Now you can transform all selected objects from this virtual center. Normally, your transform options are set to global space. You can see it in the transform panel. The button Global is activated. That means your gizmo axes are always locked to the global coordinate system of Softimage. You have a small coordinate system on the left bottom of every viewport. This is the global coordinate system. Let's rotate an object with the global mode. Press C for the rotate tool and rotate the object. You can see the rotation axes are always fixed to the global coordinate system. You can see it better if you switch to the translation tool with V. If you translate the object, the gizmo is always locked to the global coordinate system. But every object has its own local coordinate system also. If you switch to Local mode in the Transform tab, the gizmo is changed to the local coordinate system of your object. Now you can transform your object with the local coordinate system for each object. If you are coming from Blender, the same will happen if you press twice your transform shortcut. You can use all transform operations also on components of objects like edges, vertices or polygons. Select the sphere and press U for polygon selection mode. Select one polygon and press V for Translate tool. If your coordinate system is locked on global, you can transform this polygon with a global coordinate system. But the center of your gizmo is always calculated at the center of the selected elements, not on the center of your object like in the normal object transform mode. Press C for rotate and rotate the polygon with a global coordinate system. If you switch to local coordinate system, the gizmo is using the local coordinate system. The local coordinate system for components of your object is using the normal direction of your polygon. We will discuss what normals are in another video. If you select multiple components, the local coordinate system is calculated from all selected polygons. The same is working on edges of your object. Press I on your keyboard to activate the edge selection mode. Select some edges with Shift key on your keyboard and activate the transform tool with V. It's the same workflow with Polygon mode. Press T for selecting vertices on your object. T stands for tagging elements. If you want to reset the transform values of the object, go to the Transform panel on the right side and choose the Reset function. Here you can reset the transform, scaling or rotation values, or all three of them together. Reset all transforms will reset all values for scaling, rotation and transform to default values. Reset scaling will reset only the scaling. Reset translation resets the translation only. Reset rotation resets the rotation only. The freeze operation will reset also the transform values, but it resets only the center of your object. Activate the center visibility with a click on the eye icon and choose Centers. If you select Freeze all transforms, the geometry will stay in place, but the center is placed back to default values.